Good evening. Finally here. Good evening, beautiful naturals. I am here to finally do this reaction video. It is Winging It Wednesday, and we're doing a reaction video today. It was a tough battle between Porosity and showing y'all how I de-lint my daughter's hair, but we ended up with Porosity. Y'all wanted to know about Porosity, so here's the video. So we're going to be reacting to this video by... Give me a second, because I actually had never encountered this particular YouTuber before until I started searching for stuff to react to. Her name is Melissa Denise, and she did a video about porosity for hair growth. And I was like, oh, this should be interesting. I have not watched it, so this is a live reaction to this video. Let's see what we can do. We'll pick the video up and Chrome tab. Where is it? There it is. Okay, sure. All right, cool. I'm going to press play in a bit. So I'm not going to talk too much before we get into the video, but there is what people think hair porosity is and what they think they need to do to find out what hair porosity is and what they think they need to do with that information. And there's what hair porosity actually is and how important it actually is to your hair journey. So we are going to maybe get around to doing all of that. I don't have any judgments on what might be happening in this video at all, because like I said, I've not watched it. I didn't read the comments either, because I did not want to have an inkling as to what was going on. But we'll see how it goes. And if there's anything I think is not quite right, I will add some of my scientific context. If it's perfect, then I'm just going to say, yeah, it's perfect. I'll confirm that, or give you more detail. That's what I like to do. So let's do this. Let's get started.
Hey, what up? It is your girl MD, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you head out. So it's no secret that we all have different textures, different porosities. So that means that we're all going to have a very unique way that we take care of our hair. A great place to start is looking at your porosity. Knowing your porosity is going to give you a good idea of what will and what won't work for your hair. Today we're going to be talking about what you are doing to your hair from a porosity perspective and how what you're doing may or may not be stunting your hair growth. So yeah, that is what we're going to break down in today's video. So porosity is your hair's ability to absorb and retain moisture. Okay, so what is low porosity? It means that it's more difficult for your hair to obtain moisture. And this is because of the structure of the cuticle. The cuticle is tightly sealed, it's laid down flat, so it makes it more difficult for the moisture to get in and penetrate the hair. Compared to high porosity, where the cuticle is very loose. So they're risen, which makes it easier to absorb the moisture. So high porosity, the cuticle is risen, and low, it's laid down flat. But the downside of that is that you can lose moisture just as quickly. And ultimately, that can lead to dryness. So let's go over low porosity first and a few things that you might consider changing. Since the cuticle is so tight, steaming is a great way to open the cuticle and allowing the moisture to get in and absorb. Cuticles will naturally lift, making it easier for the moisture to get in and absorb into the hair strand.
So that's one thing I'm going to kind of interrupt ever so slightly, because the most powerful thing to lift your cuticles is actually pH. Now, because I'm a massive chemistry head, I used to teach chemistry in high school and up to A level actually. I scored quite highly in it when I was doing my biomed degree. But yeah, I'm obsessed with chemistry. So here's the thing. Our hair is made of protein. Protein in certain environments changes its shape. So heat can change the shape of a protein, but usually in the shape or in the term, oh, good grief. In the way that heat can denature proteins, it can cause them to be more stretchy or more elastic. When people say steaming your hair can cause your cuticle to raise, it can, but that's happening because the heat is if there's moisture in your hair, the heat is kind of making that water come out a little bit more quickly. So because it's a steamy environment, you'll get some of that water back because you've lifted the cuticles ever so slightly. But the most powerful thing to raise your cuticles is pH. And when I say pH, I mean particularly an alkaline pH, and that's the kind of thing that you get in your shampoo, which is why when I talk about shampoos and I say if you don't use a sulfate containing shampoo or a shampoo that has more of an alkaline pH, which you wouldn't know, just go with a sulfate shampoo. It's not going to lift your cuticles sufficiently. It's not going to cleanse the surface of your hair sufficiently enough and lift the cuticles sufficiently enough to make the things that you want to happen to your hair happen to your hair. So in an acidic environment, the kind of proteins that we have on our hair will kind of straighten out a bit more, so they'll lie flatter. In an alkaline environment, they'll bend upwards. I'd love to show you a video on that magic, on that kind of chemistry magic. But yeah, so the most powerful thing that affects our cuticle scales or our cuticle layer is pH, not necessarily heat. That heat thing is actually a little bit of a myth, which comes from or springs from us using heat or steam to open up our pores. Our hair doesn't behave exactly the same way as our skin. It's actually quite different. So a lot of people say this, it's not exactly correct, but yeah, if you want to raise your cuticles so that water can get in, use the right kind of shampoo. That's all. Let's carry on.
As well as allowing the product to penetrate more effectively. So adding heat in that way to your regimen will be a game changer. You can do that with a heating cap, a hooded dryer, the steam from the shower,
Her hair is gorgeous.
a handheld, or a hooded steamer. The greenhouse effect is another great way to get your cuticles to lift. Moisture like normal or over the top like I do because I'm heavy-handed. And then you just apply a shower cap or a plastic bag to your hair. Do it overnight or just during the daytime. My favorite thing to do when I want to do the greenhouse effect or any other hair treatment when I don't have a ton of time, but I want to keep it cute. So I'm going to apply the product, then I'm going to apply the plastic cap, and then I'm just going to grab my favorite scarf or head wrap and boom. So you can have your favorite head wrap on at work all day and no one would ever know that you were treating your hair the entire time. When you take the plastic off, you will realize that heat has generated. The heat that is trapped in will help the cuticles on your hair lift. Another thing that I like to do is
okay, before we get to the next thing that she likes to do, I have to interrupt this one as well, because this thing of leaving your hair in a treatment for a long period of time, hoping that the heat from your scalp will cause the reaction to work well, it is also a myth. It's not true. So okay, let me explain what happens when a reaction happens, right? You've got a system, which is, let's just call this little box a system, right? And you've got molecules bouncing around. And let's say your hair strand is in the middle of this system. And those molecules are bouncing around. Some of them are sticking because they've hit your hair strands in just the right way to be able to cause, let's say, for example, a conditioner to stick to your you know what I mean? Like certain things stick with certain things. Certain parts of a molecule will stick with other parts of a molecule. If you leave that system there long enough, the reaction will complete itself. It will happen to its maximum level of potential, basically. If you leave it long enough, yes, it will do that. However, in that period of time that you're leaving your hair long enough to completely react and stick to or to be stuck to by the conditioner, in that period of time, you left your hair wet for a very long time, which can be damaging. When your hair is allowed to swell and then shrink back again slowly, because it's losing water slowly, it can cause cracks. It can do that. It can also do that if you heat it too quickly as well. It's a thing all by itself. If you've ever heard of the term hygro fatigue, leaving your hair wet for a very long time can cause that, along with other things like, let's not talk about that because it's not just, let's leave that one. But yeah, what really does make reactions happen faster is heat. So using the steam cap, like she mentioned earlier, is actually a better idea for causing your reactions to happen better because it makes the molecules bounce around even faster. So the reaction happens quicker. Also, because we are lazy naturals on this channel, okay, we don't have time to leave it on our head all day. And we do not want water dripping down our face with like a shower cap on our head or whatever we've tied our hair into that day, all day. Like, we don't want that. So we get in, we get the thing done as effectively as we can, and we get out. That's all. So I just thought I'd correct that little thing as well. But generally, she's doing really well. I love it. Let's press play.
Is after I put on the product, put on a plastic cap, and then go work out, and that generates a ton of heat, and it also cuts down the time that you can have to do the greenhouse. So that is another great option. Okay, so speaking of head wraps, this one is from Swirly Curly. I actually have it in two colors. It's red and then pink color. It's 100% silk satin scarf, making it perfect for protecting and wrapping your hair. The material is super light, so it keeps your head nice and cool, especially in the summer. But it also feels really great too. It's nice and like silky and soft. These are honestly some of my favorites. You know how much hair I have, and honestly, all of it fits, and it has so much hair.
Okay, so we're gonna skip that because, all right, cool. She's stuck now because I didn't realize there was a promotion in there. Otherwise, I would have skipped it earlier. But yeah, carry on.
Clarify. So that kind of goes for all porosities, but
Yes.
especially if you fall into
I'm so happy she said
You want to
that.
make sure that you do not let product build up on your strands. Typically, low porosity is more prone to a product buildup. This is going to make it even more difficult for moisture and products to penetrate your hair. Products are going to sit on top of your hair if they're not properly absorbed. Even products with silicones and heavy butters and oils might be a lot for low porosity hair. It can build up on your hair quickly. You continue to apply more on top, that can lead to dryness, flaking, and lip curls. Try and use oils that are more lightweight. Get your hands on some clarifying shampoo or even a clay wash, and try to stay away from moisturizing shampoos. Make sure you are not skipping deep conditioning or the active heat. Sitting under the dryer is going to allow your hair to absorb moisture. Deep conditioners are designed to be more penetrating than our normal everyday.
Well, we've skipped. Okay, sorry. I wanted to react to that thing that she just said, which was the thing about, oh God, I'm so tired. So she's on the straight. Yeah, those 2 tips are solid gold. Those 2 tips she just gave. Clarifying your hair. You won't be able to get moisture in your hair if it's still covered in all the stuff that it had on it last week when you put products in your hair, especially if you're using film forming or things that will shield your hair from the elements, basically. Film forming conditioners or leave-in conditioners or products like that. If you're using anything like that, including things that contain silicones or heavy butters, things like castor oil as well, if you do not wash them off properly, they're going to block moisture, and you're just going to add more of those oils after you finish doing your wash, and it's just going to be a bit of a hot mess. You'll be like, why is my hair still dry? And we're like, that's because you haven't clarified. Clarifying shampoos tend to have either chelating ingredients. I will talk about this. Oh, I don't know where my timetable is, but I'm going to tell you what day I'm talking about this. Sorry, I told you I used to be a teacher, right? That's why there's a timetable. We're talking about ingredients in a couple of weeks. I cannot remember when, but we'll be talking about ingredients real soon. Okay, and I will tell you how to identify the ingredients that you need in your products, especially if you're trying to avoid things like sulfates, because they can be harsh. But you do need to know what does what in your shampoos and conditioners, so you know why you're using them, and so you know why you're using them, so you know that they're going to do what you want them to do. And if they are not doing what you want them to do, you can start to know why. So they tend to be sulfate containing, or they need to contain chelating ingredients. And those things are, chelating means it sticks to things you don't want and will take it away, basically, when it's rinsed off. That's all. It sticks to or adsorbs to things that you don't want on your hair and will take them away. A clay wash is also very, very good at doing that. They're very, very good. I will recommend, and this is not a paid promotion, it's just because I really like this product, Meta Clay by Uri Lifestyle. So I'll put their details in my description box because their stuff is good. They've mixed 3 different types of clay, because all 3 different types of clay, they react with specific types of molecules on your hair. So mixing the 3 together means you're covering all bases and your hair comes out feeling and looking gorgeous. They did not pay me for this. Listen, they didn't pay me for this. Okay, I would not come at you with paid promotions. And if I do come at you with paid promotions, I'll tell you I was paid. Okay, because a sister got to make some money sometimes. I'm just joking, but that's not really my style. I will tell you what works and what doesn't. It's as simple as that. That's what I'm into. So yeah, I'm gonna put that product in the description box, especially when you're like not interested in harsh chemicals or anything that might irritate your skin. If you have sensitive skin, a clay wash is the way to go. So God bless her for that comment, because that was brilliant. And also deep conditioning. Let's get into let's see what she says. Deep conditioning is so important. So important. I said in my last live that you cannot skip the deep conditioning step. You cannot skip it, especially if you live in the Western hemisphere of the world, like UK, Europe, America, Canada, most especially, man, y'all are living in a really cold place, and that is hard on our hair. So you need to protect that hair. So you have to deep condition. That's just adding that additional protection that the hair needs to survive. We're trying to grow long hair here, even while we're being quote unquote lazy, as in we have so many other things that we're doing that it's really hard to take care of our hair with to the maximum. So I'm trying to teach you how to do this in the simplest way possible, even with a busy lifestyle. I have 3 children. I almost put 4 fingers up. I said 3 children, a business, a job that I do on the side. Listen, I'm doing a lot of things. So keeping hair healthy and keeping my daughter's hair healthy is a job and a half. Anyway, let's not talk too much about me. But in the meantime, what I will talk about real quick, if y'all don't mind, I want y'all to join the Lazy Naturals hair group. Just give me a second. I'm gonna do this. do this, and show you this. Oh, good grief. I'm not really good at this. I'm just getting used to all of this stuff. Doing all of this while talking is kind of hard, but yeah, there it is. I want you guys to join the Lazy Naturals Hair Group. Is where I give all my tips, tricks, everything, all the good stuff, okay? And where we have our community where we kind of talk about what our difficulties are and we share our tips. And of course, I come in there with discount codes as well. You know, I like to share the good stuff, okay? I like to share it all over my Instagram as well. So if you join me on Instagram at the Chi-Oh-He, you'll find that I'm always posting these types of things on my stories, always posting those kind of things on my page. I like to highlight Black businesses, particularly, especially in the UK. If you happen to be in the UK, I'll highlight businesses that will be accessible to you. If you happen to be elsewhere, I mean, we ship worldwide. We ship worldwide. None of this is paid. It's just stuff that I like to support what I think is excellent. That's just what I'm into. I research the heck out of things before I start opening my mouth to talk about anything. So I don't like to be wrong about things. So you can trust me when I say that. Sorry, I was looking for something in particular. There it is. There. That's my handle on almost every platform. I am not on Pinterest. I am, but it's not with this. So forget about that. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, where I'm right here. I'm on Instagram. Instagram is where it's really happening. So join me on Instagram. If you found me on YouTube and you have not yet connected with me on Instagram, what you doing, sis? Join me on Instagram. Yeah, so I've talked as much as I can talk. I also do this thing called Hair Gist. So I give you the uncut, raw uncut, and just as frank and as quickly as I can information on, you know, things that you should and definitely should not do in hair. Should and definitely should not. And why those are my opinions. They're my like genuine opinions about things. Okay, let's get back to this video because I've been talking for a while. Whew, child. All right, share screen, Chrome tab. Come on now, share screen. There we go. Let's press play.
Unlike high porosity, low porosity hair is not a big fan of protein, so pay close attention when you're using it. A lot of times it may leave your hair feeling dry and brittle, so it's important to have a good balance of moisturizer and protein. You know what your hair likes and doesn't like, so find a protein that works for you because it is still important to incorporate regular proteins in your regimen. You know how this goes, it's all about trial and error. Herbs and all natural treatments, those are also great alternatives to protein treatments. So now that we've covered low porosity, let's jump right into high porosity. High porosity and protein treatments kind of go hand in hand. So we know that high porosity hair has gaps in the hair shaft. Unlike low, the cuticle is risen. So using protein is going to help temporarily fill in those gaps. And that is going to provide strength and protection to the hair. Your hair look fuller, improve elasticity, and reduce breakage. Deep conditioning on a regular basis is very similar to the low porosity hair. It's going to provide your hair with the nutrients, help you with moisture, increase strength, as well as help smooth down the hair cuticle. Because remember, high porosity hair is risen. Deep conditioners contain ingredients that are going to nurture your hair. It's important to alternate between moisture deep conditioners and protein. I want to have that balance.
Okay, because she's like going through this really quickly, so sometimes she'll go through 2 or so points before I actually get around to replying what she said or responding to what she said. Deep conditioning. What was it she said that I was like not sure of? You know what? Generally, what she just said was correct. Gaps in the hair shaft can be completed with you. Okay, I don't like that term. Gaps in the hair shaft. So gaps in the cuticle layer or the cuticle layers on your hair shaft, like the main body of your hair, can be filled in using proteins. That's why it's important to use proteins. It is important to use a protein that suits you. There are so many out there. There are vegetable proteins and they must be hydrolyzed protein. This is why I will fight anybody that tells me that you're doing a protein treatment with egg. Sorry, I have to say it because the proteins in eggs are too big to stick. They're not the right kind of proteins to stick to your hair. That's one. Again, remember, I'm a person with a chemistry head here. They're not the right kind of proteins for that. They're the right kind of proteins for digestion. In our digestive system, we can break those proteins down and make use of them. On your hair can't do that. It can't break down those proteins. So it doesn't make sense to say that you're doing a protein treatment with egg. It's not going to work. It's going to do something to your hair. I'll explain to you what it actually does, which is it kind of moisturizes, but there's really literally no point cracking an egg that you paid money for and putting it on your hair just for moisture, when you can literally do that with a deep conditioner and the right leave-in conditioner. You don't have to put egg on your hair for that. Same thing goes for things like avocado, actual avocado that you mash up or blend up in your blender. Just eat the thing. It has so many vitamins in it. I can't eat them anymore, I'm allergic, but they're so good for you. It makes more sense to eat them, that's the eggs and the avocados, than it does to put in your hair. Trust me on that. There are products that have been specially formulated with the active ingredients that are in these things that we eat and made into the right format for them to benefit our hair. Going natural and wanting to be supernatural about everything, I don't mean supernatural, I mean supernatural about everything, is nice, but you need to know what does what. And that's what I'm here for, because I used to be, once upon a time, quite into all this natural stuff. But because, again, massive chemistry nerd, I used to look into everything. I want to know why this thing works, so I'm not overlapping things, so I'm not wasting my time, because nobody has time that can be wasted. We don't have enough of it in this life. We only have a certain amount of it. None of us knows how much we actually have. So why would we want to waste it on things that don't actually add value? Whew. And another thing we like to waste is money too. Like, we don't want to waste that either, because you could be doing something else with that money. Eat your eggs. Eat your eggs. Eat your avocados. Eat your banana. Don't put it in your hair. You don't need to, okay? Leave-in conditioners are good for that kind of thing. Okay, I'm sorry. I did it again. Let's stop, go back to her video, and finish watching this video finally.
Balance between the two, since high porosity is more prone to dryness. Since high porosity has a risen cuticle, you want to make sure that you're using sealants when styling your hair. This will help to smooth down the cuticle and lock in the moisture. That's why I'm a big fan of the lock method, because it's going to help retain moisture long. That is a great segue into the next one. So the lock method, if you have high porosity hair, learn it, love it, breathe it. You're applying water rinse products, or just products in general, they will quickly escape your hair. So you want to immediately seal it with oil. Then you just want to follow that up with a cream, which will be an added layer of moisture. Since high porosity hair is more prone to dryness, it's better to try and use more sulfate-rich shampoos. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. So that's where this is where I come in and say something along the lines of, I would use a clay wash for hair that is really easily. So with my daughter's hair, my daughter's hair is fine. So I have low-ish porosity hair. My hair is actually medium to low porosity. So it grabs moisture kind of nicely, and it lets it out kind of regularly, you know what I mean, the normal way. It doesn't get super dry. My hair is currently looking dry because I haven't yet done my refresher. What's this thing I do? Halfway through the week. And usually, actually, my hair is fine for a whole week. I don't have to do anything to it. It's because of how I've kept it that it's looking a little less happy than usual. But also, I've been recently using a lot harsher shampoos, and I've been using them more frequently because I'm trying to reinvigorate my scalp. So I have a different purpose for why I'm doing what I'm doing, but I'm protecting my hair in other ways. Anyway, my daughter's hair is really fine. It's really dry, and it is naturally high porosity. I know this because she was pretty much born with the hair like that. It wasn't when her hair started to change from the placenta perm into her normal regular black people hair, you know, like whatever her texture was going to be, her grown texture. I noticed that it was it was delicate and sensitive to shampoos. So when I discovered, and I'm going to come back again with this Ori Lifestyle Meta Clay. When I discovered Meta Clay and started using it on my daughter's hair, because I was initially kind of nervous about using all these things on a baby, but I was like, she's two now, and what does clay do? It removes and chelates all these things that we don't want. We also live in a hard water area, so I don't want that on her skin either. So let's go for that. Her skin and her hair thanked me for it. Like her completely clean, completely squeaky clean, shining, glistening. Her curls are popping, and that's only using the clay wash. And I have to explain, clay washes should not be done using tap water because there are minerals in tap water. So the clay will start reacting with the water. And you don't want that. You also shouldn't do it inside a metal bowl because it'll react with the bowl. You don't want that either. So glass is good. Water that you have, not everybody has distilled water in their house. So you can boil water, keep it aside, make sure there is no lime scales in it, obviously. And use that for your clay wash. Put it in your hair. You should start seeing a reaction or in your hair changing almost immediately. One of these days, I'll do a video showing you what happens when I do a clay wash with my daughter's hair, and maybe even one of mine. And then you can see for yourselves how amazing clay washes can be. But also they are gentle. They don't take away from your hair or your scalp what you don't want them to take away, which would be things like your sebum. They will remove a buildup, and it will be helpful, especially depending on how you use them. It will be helpful and instrumental in removing exfoliated cells, and that's what I mean, like, flakes from your scalp and stuff like that. It will remove all of that stuff because you're washing off all that stuff anyway by rubbing with the pads of your fingers and so on and so forth. But it won't hurt you the way harsh shampoos can. So yeah, that's why it's so important to be, to kind of understand how your hair works with these things. However, one thing I've noticed about this video that she hasn't really clarified on is how I suppose you can use this information and be like, oh, my hair reacts like this when I use this, and my hair reacts like that when you use that, when I use that. And you can know which type of hair you have, or you can guess what type of hair you have. The other thing is, the thing about it is, she hasn't really explained what, I mean, she kind of has. It's fine. It's actually fine. She's throughout the video. But I'm just trying to figure out if I did not know anything about porosity, would I understand what she was saying? And would I immediately be able to understand that my hair is this type or that type and I need this piece of advice, or I don't? I can't, because I'm already biased. I already know what porosity is. But yeah, it's as simple as the angle at which your cuticle scales lie. My daughter's lie at a higher angle, mine lie at a lower angle. So they're closer to themselves. But also it's to do with how many of those cuticle scales you have, how many layers you have, how many of them are still there, do you have any gaps? Very, very weathered hair will have many gaps. Also, here's a cool fact that you may not have known. You can have different hair porosities along the same hair shaft. Did you know that? It's more likely that you'll have higher porosity hair on the end of your hair than at the base of your hair, at the roots, because the hair that's at the end of your hair is the oldest part of your hair. It's been exposed to all sorts of things. Cuticle scales have been ripped off, unfortunately. Cuticle scales have broken off thanks to heat and things like that. Cuticle scales have, just fallen off thanks to things like, knots and rubbing against each other. They get weathered. It's just that you need to think about. So those things can happen. And along your hair shaft, you'll have like nice medium to low porosity hair at the base, and really, really, well, depending on what kind of hair you have, but yeah, and much, much higher porosity hair at the ends. So the ends are the parts of your hair you need to care for the most, because they are the oldest and they are the most delicate. Some people just kind of try to get rid of any endangered ends, like ones with knots and with the splits and things like that. Get rid of those, and you can protect the rest of the hair. So that's that. That's something I thought I would mention, because people don't know that it's not just one type or another type. You can have different types on the same strand of hair. Okay, let's get back into this video. And in for the next 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Sulfates can be harsh and strip the hair and the scalp of its natural oils. That is why I'm a huge fan and advocate of pre-pooing before shampooing. This way your hair won't be stripped.
That's
I
another
can't
one.
say that I always practice this step, but
Sorry.
there's facts.
Quick comment. Right, so the thing about pre-pooing. Sorry, I just got really itchy nose. So pre-pooing, there are many, many purposes for pre-pooing. And if you have watched any of my previous videos, perhaps I think the very last one I did I do it here or did I do it on Instagram? I think I did it on Instagram, so go to Instagram and check it out. It was really short. It was like basically 5 steps, and the 5th one is actually optional. 5 steps to your entire hair regimen. Pre-pooing is number 1. The reason why is because you do your pre-pooing as well as doing your detangling at the same time. You use your high slip oil, and that's what's going to make sure that, 1, your hair is treated with an oil that will, so it depends on which oil you choose, but if you choose an oil that is able to condition, you're already treating your hair, if that makes any sense. Depends on what was on your hair before that, of course, but the other thing is you can use that opportunity to do things like hot oil treatments. You use the oil that you've created, you've kind of mixed together for the purpose of your detangling process as well on your scalp, and kind of just leave it there for a bit. Once your hot oil treatment, if you want to do a hot oil treatment, once that's over, you can then go in and wash it, and it will not your scalp will not feel as stripped of its moisture as it could be if you had just gone in without the pre-poo process. Some people don't like the idea of pre-pooing, especially not with oils, because they're like, well, it's like slathering your body with cream before you go in and bath. It's really not the same thing. It's not. I promise you it's not. Here's the other cool thing. When you put oils on your scalp, okay, and this is why I say don't leave them on your scalp, just you can use them. It's, you know, like how you do an oil wash for your skin, an oil cleanse for your skin. You can remove excess sebum by kind of, oils like each other, they kind of mix together. You can rub your scalp and remove excess sebum that way as well. Did you know that? You didn't. Now you do.
Working with a cuticle that is open, that means the hair is more prone to tangles. So it's always important to carefully detangle, make sure you're not detangling dry, make sure you have conditioner in your hair.
I have to be honest, I am very guilty of detangling dry sometimes.
Okay, last
on
one
my
on
own
the
hair.
list, natural oils and butters are going to be your best friend. They create a protective shield around your hair shaft, and that is going to keep the moisture in, but at the same time, it's going to allow the oils to penetrate and do things. So I try to give you guys an equal balance of both. Clearly there's other things out there. These are just some of the things that you can do according to your porosity. And plus, I've never done a porosity video on my channel, so I felt like this topic was long overdue. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Let me know if there's something that you do according to your porosity that you feel like that has been a game changer for you. Okay, so I will leave links down below to any product recommendations as well as links to the scarves and...
Cool. Okay, so that's us done with the video. If there are any questions you have about porosity after this, please comment down below. Please join me on Instagram at the Chiohe, which is right there. Join me on Twitter as well. Join me on Instagram. Join me here, of course. Subscribe. And of course, join the Lazy Naturals hair group because, again, I share tons of good stuff on there, especially when it comes to baby hair care. And of course, take care of yourself. And I'll see you in the next video. There's not really much else to say. She's kind of covered it all. You know what you guys should do? Yeah, send me videos that are going to be scandalous. Send me something to really react to because I just wanted to be able to come in and kind of dispel any myths that there might have been about porosity because there are tons of them floating around. But she seems to have it down to a T. And other than the one or two things I needed to correct, and the fact that I don't think she took the time to give a specific definition of each type of porosity. But I really think porosity in the natural hair community online has been made into this massive thing. Oh yes, something that I do need to say. And I've already kind of closed the video, so some of you might not be watching. If you're still watching, well done. Porosity cannot be tested by dropping your hair strand in water. Can we stop doing this in 2020? In fact, 2020 is over. Can we stop doing this in 2021? Leave it behind in 2019 because that's where it should have been left. Okay, we cannot test our porosity by dropping our hair strand in water. So many factors affect that so-called test that it doesn't work. I think where people got that from was the fact that there was literature written somewhere about how long it takes the hair strand to fall into the water. But there are, again, so many factors involved in that. It doesn't make sense to use that as a way to test what your hair porosity is. And it's also wrong. So don't do that. Don't do that. Don't worry about that. The actual only way to test your hair porosity is to look at it under high level microscopy, which ain't nobody got time or money for that. Ain't nobody. I mean, nobody has access to a microscope and is going to do that with it. Okay. Or with gas chromatography. And most people don't even know what the hell that is, let alone want to go and find somebody to do it for them just to find out what their hair porosity is, especially because hair porosity can change. Yes, I said it. If you can have different lengths, different porosities along your hair, it depends what caused that porosity. Like she mentioned earlier, if you have gaps in your hair shaft because on your cuticle layer on your hair shaft, that could be because of what I said later on in her video, which is weathering, exposure to harsh elements and exposure to rubbing against itself, like if you don't use the right products or if you don't keep the hair, if you don't keep your hair in a style and your hair is constantly rubbing, that can cause weathering to your hair, that can cause damage, and that's what can cause increased porosity. Your hair can recover. You could trim off all those dead bits or those unhappy bits, and you can end up with lower porosity hair. Depends on what your porosity was to begin with. There's of course genetic factors, but there are also your health factors. Your body prioritizes its own health above your hair health. If you don't have enough resources to if you're malnourished and you don't have enough resources to keep your body running and functioning properly, you're not going to produce high quality hair. I just have to say it that way. So porosity can change. If you're healthy, you're drinking your water, you're getting your sleep. I mean, I'm clearly not. Clearly not getting enough sleep. But if you're doing all the things to take care of yourself, and of course your mental health is not on the fritz, like you're looking after yourself, you're doing your self-care, you are, sorry, just such an itchy nose. I don't know if it's anything to do with this light. I doubt it, but anyway, if you're looking after yourself and your body is happy and you've not experienced any big shocks in terms of new medication, new diet, nothing like that, then you will produce high quality hair, and your hair should be chemical factors as well. That's what I'm saying. There's just so many factors. If you're using the right products for your hair, you won't even have to, you know what I mean. You won't expose yourself to the kind of thing that will lead to weathering of your hair, which will then lead to high porosity. So that said, I am done reacting to this video now. If you have any other questions, please put them down in the comment section below. If you have anything that you want me to react to next, please, I'm looking forward to being added in the comment section of any of those videos. Just be like, yeah, curly hair doc, react to this. I would love to. Just comment, I would love to do it. Just hang on a second. There we go. Okay, so I am the curly hair doc. My name is also Chiohi. I hope to see you in my next video. I am back on Friday with a Fro Friday video, and this week we are talking about stunted growth and breakage. So when people say my hair is not growing, I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, take care.